Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Goldmine Report, where we talk about all things 49ers all the time. My name is Jeff Malinoff, and today we got to talk about the NFC West. This is the best division in football, and this is how the 49ers can win the division. The division is still very much possible, and I will tell you why. We got to look at the other teams in the division, of course. Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals. They are looking at like this out of nowhere team to make it to the division, win the division. They are one of the teams kind of on the bottom. I think if anyone really has predictions I've seen around, it's Rams on top, Seattle and 49ers fighting for like that second spot, and Arizona's on the bottom. And I'll tell you why they're on the bottom, but it still makes some noise. I mean, last year they had a big run midway through the season. Their offense is still pretty elite with Kyle Murray at the quarterback position and DeAndre Hopkins, one of, if not the best wide receiver still in football. I know he's still contemplating retirement due to the vaccine stuff that's going on in the NFL, but if I had to put money on it, he will be playing this year. So looking at to that, you still have that. Larry Fitzgerald is still a big question mark if he's going to return or not. It seems like he's not really there yet, so it looks like he might be done. He hasn't announced anything formally, but it looks like he might be done for the year. So at least for the year, maybe come back next year. The big question mark, though, for that team is not on the offensive side, it's the defense. The defense has cost them games multiple times. That's why they had that big slump at the end of the year and missed the playoffs. They had a great run and just had a midseason collapse towards the end of the year, is because their defense did not contribute. They blew it for them. And it's the same thing this year. The only like really new addition is their first round pick, who is basically an Isaiah Simmons clone who can play all these positions. But last year, Isaiah Simmons, the Arizona Cardinals didn't find a spot for him. They didn't know what to do with him. He's a utility player, and they didn't know what to do with that utility player. So he ended up just not really contributing. It's going to be the same thing with this year's first round pick. And the only big addition after that is JJ Watt, but he's at the twilight of his career. Injuries are plaguing him. He's not the same guy he used to be. Is he still one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game? You could make that argument, of course. He's still an elite guy in the NFL, but nowadays he's not the same guy. Injuries, like I said, have plagued him so much that it's really cost him 5 years of his career. When you look at it, like he could play, if he was healthy, he would still be in like the prime shape. But injuries have really just handicapped his career for a long period of time. So he's still a big question mark. And then Chandler Jones is asking for a trade, so he might even play for the Cardinals this year. So you're losing your key guy on the defensive side in that. You still have Buda Baker, but he can't really contribute to every part of the field. He can only contribute to what is his safety part. So looking at that, the defense is still the biggest question mark on that team. And if they don't step up, they will not make the playoffs. That's almost a certainty. Now, looking at the Los Angeles Rams, I know they have 299 overalls in Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, but I mean, let's look at the running back position. Cam Akers is out, and they don't have a running game. Offensive line is always a question. They seem to be contributing, but they are still a question mark. The wide receiver core, Cooper Kupp's still there, but that's still another question mark. And Matthew Stafford is their quarterback, who will probably do a lot better than Jared Goff. Almost a certainty he'll do better than Jared Goff. But overall, they will still be, I would say, a double-digit win team. But I feel like they are overhyped. People call the Niners overhyped. I call the Los Angeles Rams overhyped, if you ask me. And it'll all come down to how Matthew Stafford plays in that offense. And it all comes down to that running game and that wide receiver core. If they can't step up against high caliber teams, especially in the NFC West, they won't be able to last. So call me crazy, but I call them a wild card team, possibly a division winner, but I don't see them winning the division. So looking at the Seattle Seahawks now, maybe the most overrated team in football. If I've said this for multiple years now, and the last 2 years have really proved it. If Russell Wilson was not their quarterback, they are nowhere near the top of the division. One guy has carried that team for the last 3 years, and it's Russell Wilson. Take Russell Wilson out of that team, you don't have a lick of a chance to making the playoffs and sniffing the division. But Russell Wilson has kept that team afloat for so long now. Yeah, I know DK Metcalf is turning out to be one of the best receivers in football. I get that. But if it's not Russell Wilson, there is no Seattle Seahawks. The defense is a huge question mark as well. And their drafting has been putrid the last couple of years, and it's really showed on the defensive side. That defense has been from Legion of Boom to Legion of Loom. Ugh, oh my goodness, it's been terrible. And that is just like the Arizona Cardinals. Their offense can carry them to some victories, but their defense, if they don't step up, will not lick the postseason. So call me crazy, and I've been called crazy in the past, but Seattle Seahawks will not sniff the postseason. They will go 500. Well, you can't go 500 anymore nowadays, thanks to the 17-game season. I wish it was still even, but whatever. But it's 8-9 at best, maybe 9-8, maybe. But with how that team is on the defensive side, the offense cannot contribute, cannot hold up to how good the rest of the NFC West is. And Russell Wilson can only do so much now. I feel like, especially now with how poor the running game is, how poor the offensive line has been, and how poor that defense is. Two guys, DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson, can only do so much. So I'm saying this here. Seattle Seahawks will not make the playoffs this year. There is no way. That team is needing to be in a rebuild mode. It's time to go in a rebuild mode. You wasted all that time on Jamal Adams, and all he does is do safety blitzes. And I've said this in the past too. I've said this before. Not on this show, but on other shows I've done. But like my play action cast, which is also on Spotify and Apple Podcast if you want to check that out. But Jamal Adams, all he is a safety blitz guy. As a safety, you need to do more than just safety blitzes. He's okay in coverage, but okay in coverage as a safety is not what you need right now. Okay in coverage is putrid if you're a safety. Safety blitzes are supposed to be rare. You're not supposed to expect them. They're supposed to be out of nowhere kind of plays in the sense of, okay, is that guy doing a safety blitz? Is he just trying to read the quarterback? But if you're placing the Seattle Seahawks, expect a safety blitz every other play because Jamal Adams, that's all he knows how to do. That's his specialty. So if you already know what the dude's specialty is, if you know what he's going to be doing before you even set up a play, then you can only do so much on a safety blitz. You know how to defend that if you know it's coming. For any defensive stance, that is. If you know what's coming, if you know what their scheme is, if you know what they're going to do every other play because their safety is so limited, then you can defeat the defense. So you're looking at all of that. You're looking at there's a lot of negatives when it comes to the NFC West teams, but they are still very good. I'm not knocking any of them down. This is still the best division in football. But the 49ers are overall better than each and every one of them. Their wide receivers are stepping up. Their running game is still one of the best in football, thanks to Kyle Shanahan. That's the thing. Whoever offensively is on the field, Kyle Shanahan has used him to the best of his ability. That's why Raheem Mostert came out of nowhere. Jeff Wilson has stepped up. That is the biggest shock because he was an undrafted free agent no one ever heard of, and then he's rushing for like 150 yards when he's on the field. And then you have George Kittle, a fifth-round guy who was just a blocker, and now is one of the best receiving tight ends in football and one of the best overall tight ends in the game today. And then on the defensive side, you got Fred Warner, the best linebacker in football. Arguably, his overall speaks for itself, I guess, because in Madden, he's the highest overall linebacker. And even if he's not the number one to some people, he's still in the top 3. So he's still that good of a linebacker. The safeties have been always stellar. There are some hiccups there, of course. I think safety is one of our weakest parts of our offense, and the secondary is one of our weakest points. But it's not exactly a weakness when you have so many stellar players like Jason Verrett stepped up. Emmanuel Mosley, in my opinion, has turned into one of the better overall second corners in football right now. And if he does get more time, he can be a potential number 1 corner. He's that good. I see so much talent in Emmanuel Mosley. He's that good in coverage, especially in one-on-ones. He is very talented. So And then we have our other free agent, or I'm not free agent, excuse me. Our draft secondary that boost that the kid from USC, that safety from USC looks like a beast. I'm really excited to see him play. He kind of reminds me of Troy Polamalu kind of guy, especially with like just his look and all that. So I see a lot of potential on the defensive side. And then the offensive side, you got also the best of one of the better offensive lines with Trent Williams, one of the best offensive left tackles in the game. Aaron Banks, our second round pick, who looks to be already like just huge dude that can really contribute to that offensive line. McGlinchey's still there. Even though Staley's gone, there's still a lot of good spots on that offensive line. So everywhere you look, there is someone that is contributing to the 49ers. The only problem is health. I know I said it last time, but health is our enemy, not the NFC West. Health is our enemy. So the only way to actually win this division is to capitalize on the poor defenses of the Cardinals and Seattle and capitalize defensively on the kind of starting to fall apart offense of the Los Angeles Rams. It's like the kind of like the 49ers in a sense. No one really looks at the offense. They look primarily at the defense of the 49ers as the superior side when you're looking at the two. That's the same with the Los Angeles Rams. So the Rams, we got to capitalize on that offense and their new quarterback in Matthew Stafford and their poor running game. If we stop them on the run, if we can beat them up on the pass like we did last 2 seasons, we can win this division. It's very plausible that the 49ers will be the NFC West champions by the end of this year. All right, that is our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jeff Malinoff, and stay faithful, y'all.